So thank you very much, Carol. I'm very happy to be here, and it's a great responsibility to be opening this so nice event. So today I'll be talking about a dangerous market. More specifically, I'll be talking about the trade in venomous snakes and the occurrence of snake bites in Brazil. And for that, I would like to first start with the role of the social media and the internet on wildlife trade. And we know that nowadays people are increasingly using internet on daily basis. So we have here the graph. The white bar is the worldwide average for social media using time spent using social media, and we can see that for worldwide, the average is about a bit more than 6 hours of internet and 2.5 hours of social media usage every day. And here I would like to call attention to the beginning of the graph, zooming in to Brazil, which is the third country on the list. And we can see Brazil compared to the average, worldwide average, we have 2.5 hours more of internet usage and 1 hour more on social medias. So it's not weird to think why in Brazil, but also in many other countries, social media and internet is receiving even more and more wildlife trade instance nowadays. That is because we know that the internet would ease the connection between sellers and buyers. So the seller that would have a stall in an open fair and have a limited number of buyers, now on the internet, they can reach a larger number of people in a larger area, so it would expand their market. And in addition, that would decrease some costs, because instead of moving animals to the fair every time, they can keep them in a safe place and then move them sometimes just for delivery. So we can then decrease cost of logistical cost, but also, especially when the trade is illegal, we can decrease the cost of hiding the animals and avoiding surveillance as well. And in addition, the online environment gives the sellers and buyers apparent anonymity, because they can use a fake account, fake names, and not expose themselves as they would be exposed in an open fair. So that would boost more the commerce, and especially for some species with some traits. For example, as I said, when it's prohibited, that would increase. But also when there are like groups very target to a niche public that in an open fair, almost no one would buy. But since the person on the internet can reach a large amount of people, it would influence them to keep on this trade, because they can still sell it. And it's also particular for aggressive and dangerous species, which is for a niche public, but also it's dangerous for the seller to be manipulating and moving the animals. Here we have some examples of venomous or poisonous species, and I will call attention to the snakes, which is our focus here today. And I will give you a bit of an overview of the regulation on snake trade in Brazil. In 1997, the Brazilian government regulated captive breeding exactly for attending to supply the pet trade. And it involved the snakes, but also other groups. And in 1998, there was a ban on live reptiles imports for pet. And in 2002, there was a prohibition of breeders and a trade of reptiles for pet. So since 1998, it's impossible to have and to buy or import an exotic venomous species in Brazil. And since 2002, it's prohibited to breed or sell any native venomous species in snakes in Brazil. This is exactly because of health and safety concerns, because of these venomous or poisonous species. And the health and safety concerns is mostly because of envenomations, and especially here the snake bites. So we have Brazil with a high number of envenomation per year. So it's a problem that Brazil already deals with, although it's not the top because it's Southeast Asia, but Brazil still deals with a high number of envenomations every year. Of course, not all of them are related to trade, to pet ownership, but still it's a problem. So here I'll bring a context of an iconic case of an illegal owner and that also happened to sell snakes in Brazil that was bitten by a cobra, Naya cautia, in July past year. This case became very famous in Brazil, and especially because Brazil does not produce antivenom for that species. It was a very complicated case. And this became meme. You can see like some memes from the internet. This cobra also gained an account on Twitter for the cobra. And because of this case, the police dismantled a very large network of trafficking snakes within Brazil. So this became discussion in the country regarding the illegal trade. And to investigate this parallel between the risk of snake bites and the pet ownership of venomous snakes, we gathered the information on snake bites between 2015 and 2019 from the governmental database, official database on snake bites. We also gathered some information from the environmental agency from seizures. And to compare that with actual instance of trade, we used search on Facebook and YouTube to record pet ownership and pet trade within the same period. So here, regarding the occurrence of snake bites, were reported over 140,000 total of snake bites during this period, being 81% by venomous species of the total of snake bites needing hospital care. And the groups that were most responsible for the envenomation was Botrops, the group of Jararacas, and Crotalus, which the group of the rattlesnakes. Those were the main ones, but also Lachesis and Micrus in a smaller number. But here I would like to call attention to the high number of non-identified species also involved in some envenomations. These for sure may include some native species, but also it could include some exotic species that are more difficult to identify within the country, especially because they are not expected. So here we have over 600 deaths in the country, but even to the survivors, it's often caused, the snake bites have caused some permanent injuries as well. So this is the map where we plotted the occurrence of the snake bites over the country. So in orange, you can see the concentration of the snake bite and see that is dispersed over the country, but especially where the population is higher. And as a black star, you can see the places where we recorded pet trade or ownership in the country. And some of them really coincides with the places where we have high snake bite events as well. We know that most of them may not be related to the pet trade. Of course, most of them are agricultural workers, especially men, rural inhabitants in the middle age, working in agriculture. But still, raising pets that are that could be risky, it's like adding more risk to something that is already a public health problem in the country. So in terms of number of individuals owned or traded as a pet. We recorded 241 individuals of venomous snakes. So here there are some photographs of some of them. 90% are native species. Most of them comes from seizures, but we also recorded 24 advertisements online, real ones. In terms of diversity, we recorded 16 venomous species, which was more than previous work would have suggested. In 2012, 7 was found being traded on Orkut. In a recent study in 2019, 9 was recorded while interviewing owners, pet owners on Facebook. So from the species that we recorded, 9 out of 16 are exotic. So we can see that in terms of number of individuals, we have much more native species, but in terms of richness, we have a very large richness of exotic species being kept as a pet in Brazil. In terms of the native species recorded, we recorded 4 genera. The species mostly recorded was cascabel rattlesnake, followed by jararaca. And in terms of the exotic species recorded, we recorded species from all over the world. The majority of them were from Southeast Asia, like cobras and taipans. But we also recorded viper from Africa and 1 species from North America. And some of the species we recorded are among the most venomous species in the world. And the concern is that they are sold at very, very low prices. So for example, this Gabon viper, it's estimated to be costed around $1,000. But when it comes to the native species, the price ranges from $50 to $100, which is like super, super cheap in terms of prices. Just as a fun comparison, there is this dog breeding very popular in Brazil nowadays, the Pomeranian Spitz. For having one of them, you have to spend $1,200, which is super expensive compared to the native snakes. So just for you to see that snakes are kind of accessible for quite a lot of people of the population of Brazil.
Thais, 12 minutes.
Okay, so here, just a comparison, we can see that the groups that are most involved in the pet snake bites are also the ones that are most kept as a pet, which, as I said before, is not telling that this is causation, but telling that we already have a problem and then people are unnecessarily exposing themselves to a higher risk already. And here I will call attention to the non-native species, which are in black in this graph, the name in black. We have not recorded a high number of them. However, this is very concerned because of, as I said, the lack of antivenom. So anyone that would be involved in an accident, an eventual snake bite from these species may die because of lack of treatment, because they are not expected to be in the country. So some of them has no antivenom being produced in the country. And here I would call attention that this is just a small number probably compared to the real situation, because this is just a stretch on the surface to understand this market. So as a final considerations, we have seen then 2 decades of ban of trade and breeding of venomous species, being native or exotic. However, it's clear that the enforcement is not enough to curb this trade. So we advocate that the penalties have to be increased, because to turn the wildlife trafficking a serious crime, that would increase the cost and barriers to the illegal market, and also invest in awareness of people, because there are so many misinformation. some buyers and some sellers cannot identify the species properly, which is super dangerous in case of any snake bites. The species is not well identified, and people are not aware about the risks. So after that iconic case I mentioned in the middle of the last year, people returned a lot of venomous snakes to the government because they were afraid of being punished, but also because they were afraid of having the same situation that that guy I mentioned had being bitten by a cobra. And this would expose not themselves, but all people in the house or in the neighborhood in case of an escape or improper release. So it's important to have these massive public campaigns, and also training personnel for identification, correct identification of the species, and in case of seizures, proper release or any correct destination for them to avoid invasive species in the environment and a sort of other problems. So I thank you all for listening to me today. These are my contacts. If you want to know more about the work, this paper just got accepted in Toxicon, so it will be published in Oxford Brookes University, and with a student supervised by me. And this study is funded by WCS, WCN, and British Federation of Wildlife, of Women Graduates, sorry. So thank you very much.